minute, then we start. Okay, so we'll continue with our MapReduce and we will look at the basic Java program that is given as part of the book as an example. Also, we will look at the streaming interface so that you can use the same MapReduce framework in other languages as well. And take some examples, look at it, and that should help you writing a program work, whatever you like to do. If those who want to write a MapReduce program in Python, it's simple. I found a good simple URL for you to start with. Those who want little more advanced detail, they can study the module called MRJob, which I'll talk about in the next lecture. But for simple MapReduce, this should be good enough, and you can look at other tutorials as well. So we look at two programs. One is the Java program and other is the Python program. Both of them are available as part of book material. The same has been uploaded into your MS Teams programs Hadoop, that chapter 6. You can look at those and analyze, implement, study, and so on and so forth. So first we look at our Java program, which is basically a word count. That means given the document, count the number of occurrences or frequency of each word. Typically, when you do any NLP or other processing, you do remove the stop words like a and the, not something, but we're not looking at that right now. Looking at a simple program, you can say, why do you need Hadoop? You can write a simple program that will work. Hadoop plays the role when you have a large number of documents, large number of servers, and one system can't do it. So primarily make use of distributed computing, parallel programming to achieve a task. And that is where Hadoop comes in. So even though the example we are using is simple ones, will be running on a single node setup, but once you run things at single node setup, they can easily be scaled up because same computing is done other places. Only thing data would be different, and so there should be no issues for running it. The MapReduce program primarily assumes underlying assumption is the key value pairs. And typically the key value pairs are separated by tabs when you look at the input. So to each program, each input stage, whether you have a map, reduce, combine, all this shuffle, these are all key value pairs. And what it outputs is again a key value pairs. So when we read our, let's say, word count, and when we look at our input record, which is each line. So line is a value. So where is the key? But it's difficult to figure out the key, and this part is not very explicitly mentioned in the book. So even though key doesn't matter for the simple word count program, but for other it might. So key is the line offset at byte location from where the particular record starts in the overall document. That is what the key is. So map count program may not use this key, and you'll see, even though you will be passing as parameter, you would really not be using it at all. But in other cases, it will be key value we'll look at. So input is a key value, key is a line offset or a line number you can look at, and the line content becomes the entire value. This goes to the map. Map basically takes this as input and output key and the value. So either it can output word, comma one, or word, comma count. depending on if you're doing a combiner into it or combiner separately. In our case, we'll be simply doing, for each word we'll be outputting the word value comma one, word value comma one, and that goes as a output to combiner. Combiner will take this and produce word comma n occurrences, word comma m occurrences, and that goes to the reduce. And in this reduce case, probably it will not do much. It will simply sort as per the frequency and output the result. So this is in a nutshell the word count program Java would work. So let's look at basic snippets of the code. Code is available in the program called word count.java. You can look at those. So it is basic mapper program. If you look at from here, I'm defining public word map. Your text class so that you can set values. See, object is a key, and if you look at mapper, always requires input as a key and the value. And even the whole code, we're not using key at all because with key is a line offset or line number, it doesn't make a difference. All we need to do is when we get the line as a text, split line into each word and output each word with a value 1 of count. So we get the value, we tokenize the line, which is separate, which separates spaces, all the words. So if there's a word called engineering and the word called engineering dot, or there's a word called KSIT and there's a word called KSIT dot or comma, there'll be two different words. So you use a string tokenizer class, iterator, and then for each of the word you get, you're basically writing one, the word value and the one, and that precisely the job of mapper. So even though each stage, each component requires key value pair, in this particular case of mapper, we are not really using any key at all because it's not relevant. But in other stages, you will see key does become important to work on it and deal with it. So what mapper does, it takes one line at a time. Using tokenizer, it generates words, and then for each word, it output the word value, comma one. And this basically goes to what is called a combiner. So let's take a simple case. Assuming your input file contains these two lines. So what would be the output of the first line? When it goes through the mapper, what is that mapper would output? Anyone would like to give an answer? Anyone would like to answer? Just a minute. Sorry. So output of mapper. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So our first line would output hello, comma one, word, comma one, bye, comma one, word, comma one, and same thing will happen to the second line. And that is what the output mapper would give you. Now this goes to the combiner, sorry, which is pre-processing stage, to the reducer. What combiner does is it takes output of a mapper, which is key value pair word and the one, word and the one, and it will output sums of the all the word values that appears. So if we look at when this line goes to the combiner, what is the output you'll think combiner would give you?
Hello one, world
Yeah,
two, and buy one.
by one, correct? It will give you by one because now we need to sort to make sure all the words come together. So first you see a by one, then you have hello, hello 1, and then world 2. Same way, if you look at the output of this, you'll basically get the output. What would the output in this case? Assuming we need to sort.
Hello one had it twice and
No,
goodbye.
no, hello would not be the first word.
Hadoop 2.
Hadoop,
Hello
because
1.
Hadoop is the lower order. So actually, goodbye is the even first one in the alphabetical order. We are trying sort. So goodbye 1, Hadoop 2, hello 1, and this will basically go to the reducer. So this is the reducer code, and look at all the mapper reducer. You'll basically see text, key, and the values. And values are integer, so we need to basically be able to process. So you start with some, and reducer you get one whole set of words together. You take the values and you keep getting the values, and the add values you get and add to the sum, whatever value you are getting. So first, whatever you get, because combiner has given you some count 2, 3, 4, whatever those you get, and reducer get, remember, shuffle gives you all the keys to the same reducer, and that is what basically it does. You get the value, set the sum, and that write the result, and that's the way reducer works. So it will convoluted Java code. Just a minute, guys. So if we look at the input, my input is by comma 1, second input is this. So what would be my reducer output when you get with this? Shuffle will make sure that you get into the order all the items. So first you would get by comma 1. I have a typo there, it should be capital B, but leave that for the moment. What would be the next output?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye comma 1. Again, leave away my type case because I entered it manually. Next would be Hadoop, Hadoop comma 2, and next would be hello comma 2. This hello and this hello would be added together, and last would be basically word comma 2. And that is how your reducer program basically would work. If we want to run the word count program, the program is available with the name word count or Java. So you know better than me. I not use Java that much. So Java compiler, you compile the program, specify, make sure the class path so that all the Hadoop libraries are in the path. You specify where the class will be generated, destination, and so all the classes would be generated into the destination word count classes. Then you create a jar file indicating where all the classes are and dot where to create a jar file. So in the current directory, so this dot is important. It will create word count.jar. Now you have to basically have a directory where you have an input. And so I create a directory word count input. I could copy whatever data I want to process. I'll put into that directory and then invoke my word count program, which is Hadoop jar, word count.jar, which I created here, and which program to use. Word count is the actual class I'm going to invoke in jar file, input directory, output directory. Make sure that output directory is not there, because if it exists, you'll basically get an error. And that's how the program would run. So let's try to probably run this program and see what basically would happen. I make sure I have I have classes, let me remove those. I can now compile. So you can see classes are created locally. Now create a jar file. Jar is created. Now make sure that I have a directory available onto the HDFS file system. So I did a mistake, should be ls. So look, I have a file called, or if you want to copy, I can do it all over again. HDFS, DFS. So I'll remove everything. Look at, there is no directory. I'll create a directory, copy the file there. So let's say HDFS, make dir, sorry. And then I copy the file which I'm going to look at. I can say HDFS. You can take any input file whichever you like to put. So this is created. We can verify that. I have the data available. That file is copied. If I make another copy, it will process and do both of them. I'll make sure that I'll have no output directory. If anything, I'll just basically clean those. Let's say I can say and now I can run my MapReduce program. So it will basically look at the file in this directory, put all the output into wordcount.out. So number is only creating one split, a small input file. If you have maybe two files, it may create another file something. So map job is running, and after map job, that's the output. After looking at this, so I would say look at the code, run things up, play yourself, understand, and then that will help you out. So total bytes written is 3151. Let's look at the output. Our command was we created a directory called word count out. Let us look at what is there. So we have 3151. This is what was written, which you can basically see bytes written. This is what it read from frequencies. And want to look at the content, we can say either I can get the file, get so I'll get the file. I don't think did I get the file? Let's see. I have the file here. Also the file CNT, both are there. So copy with that name. I can say more CNT and you get all the count. Case ID in bracket is a one word, whereas case ID by itself appears 6 times the document. Case ID comma appears one time. You want to look at the file. So you can take any file, you can look at case ID here. This is comma, this is one, and you'll find probably a number of other places where it appears. And that is the way the word count program basically works. You can say here, number of places it appears. So basically what we've done is I wrote the same program, which is part of the book, I'm following that because that is given. You can easily follow, look at the description, understand it, and that will help you running the program. And finally, it will tell you how much byte is returned, and you see those answers. That's basically what we are seeing. We can do a cat, get, or whatever. So you have to practice, work it out, and that's the way it runs. If you were to copy same program, so if you look at our command, we did only directory. So whatever files are there in input directory, it will look for all those files. And that's the way it works. Maybe I can run, let's say, let me copy same file with different name as well. There are two files should be there. Now, if I run the same program, you would see double the count coming up. So let me run the program. I cannot give the same directory, let's say out2, because the program will abort. Now let me run and see what really happens. You'll see numbers would basically double up. Now it's running two mappers now. It's two input files. It is running two mappers, single job, and you'll see, so see map 0%, map 50%, because a single node cluster, it will run one map job at a time. So first mapper, then students. Go ahead. And our counter should double up. So let's look at, we created directory word count out2. And you can see every value has become double because there are two files. So when you give input directory, it basically look at all those files into the directory and output that values. And you can basically see capital come first, and it was 6, it became 12, everything became 2 because the same data file. Any questions so far? No. We looked at word count, which is a Java program. Now we would like to use Hadoop framework, which should enable us to use any other programming language framework as well. And that is given by interface called Hadoop streaming. The way Hadoop streaming works, program should read from standard input and it should write to standard output. All that user has to do is provide a mapper program, provide a reducer program, but they should basically read from standard input and route to standard output. Even though if you don't have the any input, you are doing plain computation, because of the framework, you still have to provide an interface. Though don't read it, you have to provide a mechanism for STD in. The benefit of this streaming mode is at a small scale level, you can run your program locally with the standard input and standard output and see if programs are running. And once they do so, then all you can do is submit to Hadoop the large data set and it will automatically run the work for you. So streaming interface good in the way that you can test, debug locally in command line, make sure things work out. And then once things work out, then for a large data set, you can use Hadoop distributed computing infrastructure to do things. So we'll look at Python version of the word count program. It is, again, I am using it from what author Douglas Edline has given. You can write your own one, which is fine. It read inputs, and let's see the how does the streaming interface for Python would work, we should get the same output if you want. All you have to make sure is that if you have a multi-cluster node, all nodes should have the same Python environment. And I learned this lesson hard way. That's the reason I'm writing this. Because in my cluster, some nodes are Python 2 and some nodes are Python 3. And when I ran it, my program crashed. And it took me a lot while to figure out why the program is not running. I had to run individually on each cluster node. Then I figured out it is the Python variant that it's a problem. So make sure that if you're running on a cluster, each cluster node should have the same Python environment. Otherwise, programs would not work. So how do you test it locally? It doesn't have to be Python first to test even with the basic Unix commands. All we need to do is make sure that programs use std in and std out. So basic data processing command that Unix gives you is cut WC. It counts the number of characters, number of words, number of lines. And Unix, if it is a sorted input, it tells you the unique number of occurrences of the particular word. So if you're just doing this, you can use this in data processing itself, or you can do whichever way. You can run some Python program, some reducer program in script or command line, as long as they follow the std in and std out interface, they work beautifully. The whole streaming works like a pipe, like Unix you study, cat input file, pipe to a mapper, this combiner and shuffler, sorting, then to a reducer, and you basically get an output file. And that's the way the program basically runs. So I'll take a simple program, which is, let's say, attendance sample. I took attendance sample of 1. What I'm trying to do is, let me what attendance sample is. So it gives you name, date time, starting session, date time, ending, and the session duration. What I'm interested in finding is how many unique session durations are there, and possibly their count. So that means I need to look at this field. So if I use comma as a delimiter for CSV file, so this is the first field, this is my second field, this is my third field, this is my fourth field, this is my fifth field, and this is my sixth field. So if I were to run simple, I can say cat cut minus d comma, meaning comma is a separator, output minus F6, field number 6, I'll get only those values. I'm interested in how many unique values are there with the respective count. Now I can run a small file, I can run locally, but assuming I'm trying to do for all the sessions, for all the colleges, all the university, we're trying to find what is the most session time the student basically follow. So if I were to run using basic Unix command, I can do this, I can sort it and say unique minus C, and then it will basically give me those times. You see a lot of programs, only one session of 55 minutes, 3 seconds, that 3 students have the same duration, rest everything happens to be the another session, 54 minutes, 28 seconds, 54 minutes, 16 seconds, that appear 2 times, and others are only 1 time each, unique session. So I would like to know the most optimal time. We can change and play with that. So how would you run things up? So I had run this on you. Now same thing if I were to do using Hadoop. Assuming Farge is live, I'll say Hadoop jar. Hadoop comes with the streaming interface. So we need to specify that we want to use a streaming interface, say streaming interface Hadoop streaming.jar. Then even though if your program don't need an input, you still have to say input. So which is the input file? This is the data file. And streaming interface makes sure that this input data is given to the mapper program as a std in. And we are specifying output directory where output should be created. And I'm saying, what is my mapper program? My mapper program is this, and this is my reducer program. And that's all I'm trying to do. So now this could be any your shell script, this could be Unix command, this could be a Python program, and whatever that is. And that basically means we are using std in, std out. So you give input interface. If you are doing a plain computation, then you can give input as null file, but input has to be given, otherwise streaming interface won't work. So let's run this using Hadoop interface and see how would that work. I'll make sure I remove, let's say it is there in my in directory. I'll create that directory now. Copy my file. File is copied. Make sure I don't have the output directory which I'm trying to use. If anything, let me remove those if there are any. So there is no output directory which is, or I can even remove word count out, that's okay. Now I'll run the program. Anyone know what is the backslash command does at the end? On a shell, when I'm typing the command and providing a backslash, what does the backslash command mean?
Carriage return.
Carriage return to do when I press it. So when I press it, it basically indicates that my line is not over. The line is treated as continuous line. If I don't give a backslash, that means command is over and try to execute. So backslash at the end means my line is continuing, and so continue with that mode. And that's the meaning of backslash. So effectively, if you look at whole thing, we treat it as one line. So I'm giving my input. Then I'll give my output directory. Then I'll give my mapper program. And then let me give my reducer program. And let's say I say minus C, it will give me a count. So what will basically do now? I'm not passing any backslash here. That basically means my command is over. So if we look at the command, it will show you single command continuous. So it will take this file, take the sixth field, separated by a comma, and then reducer will basically give me unique with respect to count, and that data would be available in output directory, same name is given output. So it launches the Hadoop ecosystem and the program, and then you see we'll get basically the output. Let it run. And this we are doing a simple Unix command. Same thing could be done with your Python script, Python program. You could write a C program or C++ or Java. As long as they work with the standard input, that should be fine. So my mapper is over, reducer is over. So output directory is output and byte return is 680. Let us look at what we have in output directory. I have this output. Let's get this. You see unique count. And you can see this 3, this is 2, whatever we got. So this also tells you when you want to really develop a program for a Hadoop, write a program, run locally with a small data set. Because if it works, all that Hadoop gives you is scaling, nothing else. Now we look at the same word count program in Python. We're done with Unix command, and now we will do with basically what is called the Python. One thing, if you want to look at for debugging purposes, that what is the output of mapper? Because mapper output goes to stdin of reducer, you never see the what output mapper is produced. If you say I don't want to run any reducer, so you can give this -d means the configuration options map reduce.task is equal to 0. That basically means don't run any reducer, run only the mapper and put into the output. So what you'll see is output of the mapper, and you will not see the any reducer part of it. And you'll see there'll be no reducer run. Or if you want to specify a number of tasks, you say 1, 2, and that way. Similarly, if you say map.task, you're specifying how many mappers to run. So that way, in a streaming interface, you can control how many mappers or how many reducers you would like to run. And depend if you have multiple reducers, each will basically give an output, because each reducer will puts an output, and that's what you will see. If I see 2 splits and there is no reducer there, so reducer is not there. So based on the number of mappers, you will see that many outputs. So I would suggest explore, do things up, run yourself, and then you probably run. Now we look at the Python version of the mapper program. All it does is same way as word count. It takes the input line, splits into the word, and for each word, it will output 1. So very simple 4-line program. I'm basically reading it. Sorry, the reducer, I want to. For each line, read from stdin, strip to avoid white spaces beginning at the end, do a split. This split would do based on the spaces, white spaces. So get white, and for each word, output that word and value 1. And that's all the mapper does. So, and then we have a reducer, because by shuffling, all the keys goes to the in sequence to the same reducer, and you'll see the program there. We're keeping a value count of words starting with count and the which value we are using. So read from stdin. Now stdin for reducer will get basically 2 fields separated by tab, which is the word value and comma 1. That's what we'll get. So basically word and count, and we're basically splitting tab, and we get only first one split, no more than that. Don't get multiple splits. Stop at the first split, then multiple tab. You still get one split. The first is the word, second is the count. So this is how my reducer would look. I get word count, then because everything is a string, you need to make sure you convert it into integer, otherwise you'll have a exception thrown up. And since you are getting all the words together one after the other in sequence because of shuffling, you'll get all the words together. So you basically see if it is the previous word, then keep incrementing count. If not, output the count the previous word and set the new word as the word and continue, and at the end output your the last word which has not been kept there, and this is your Python reducer program. So the Python word, Python reducer program, and that's the way it runs. So you can do local testing. Both the programs are available onto your the again example code. We can run them and look at, we have a mapper, and then you can run through the reducer, pipe to reducer. We need to do sorting because this is what the shuffle does. And we are saying minus K1, first field basically 1 to 1. So basically use second one to sort it out and then do the work. So first field, sort based on this and update so that all the foods come together. If you do K2, it will basically use second field and we want only keys, these word names. Let's run this and see what output we'll get. Let's run this program through basic simple command line and then we can run it up through MapReduce framework as well. And I can sort it up, only one field, and then say you basically get the output. All the foods come together, and you can look at the code. Same code what we return, split for word in words, output word comma 1. Basically read standard input, split by the tab, because there's the input. If we already got the current word, previous word, increment the current count, else output the value, set the current value, usual way, because things are changing. The sorting ensures that all the same keys are together. Then you start with the initial count of 1, and there were the programs. Same thing, if now I know the basic code running, now I can run that through my Hadoop framework. And if you look at the Hadoop framework, it's basically same thing, copy the file and specify Hadoop jar, which is streaming interface. When you're doing this, since you are using a program as a file and not a Unix command per se, you have to indicate the file path and then the mapper. If you are using a command line arguments, then you specify in double quotes Python mapper, those command line arguments. So do that for both mapper and reducer. You always need to give an input and you need to give an output. So for those who want to do an assignment using Python, using streaming, even though it is computation based, you still have to give the input option. An input option give a null file. Don't read the data, but streaming interface requires that you must give input and the output interface options. And then you run the code would run, and you'll basically get that output. Same thing would happen. I won't run the program, but you can run it yourself. We've done that, and that's the way program basically would work it out. And you can see the way things would basically work. So that way we have done, and what I said, in case you need to pass command line arguments, argv1, argv2, then I can say mapper in double quotes Python, file name, the program name, and then the parameters. So these are the argv1, argv2, use those, but they still have to go input and output, run things up using Hadoop interface. That's the way it will basically work. And that's how my basic streaming interface will be used by the Hadoop. So what we studied, we look at the MapReduce for the word count. We looked at the Java program. We look at mapper, combiner, reducer. We look at a streaming interface, which is given by the Hadoop. We look at, we can use basic Unix command lines. We also wrote a Python program. You can use, one mapper could be Unix command line, other could be Python or both Python, whichever way it is. But when you use the Hadoop interface, you have to make sure that the option dash input and dash output has to be given. Otherwise, you'll get an error. So with that, the current topic is over. Any questions? Please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're done for today's class.
So, can you explain the difference between